Part 15. All Heaven's Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 141. 141 Party. Number 0. What else do you know? Tell me. Chenyuan strengthened his mind, and walked inside as soon as he mentioned this person. Wait a minute. My car. My car is still outside. The man shouted, pointing outside. Chenyuan carried him to the road outside again, and sure enough, he found a dilapidated jeep parked there, and a lot of things were covered with canvas on the back seat of the jeep. This is the refined tiberium mine I got. For decades, I have been maintaining this experimental base. He said. Lie. I've never seen any recent activity in it. Chenyuan said sharply. I haven't lived here for a long time, and there is no place to live here. Every time I add refined tiberium ore, this base can last for about 3 months, so I come here regularly to add it. The person said. Chenyuan lifted the canvas and saw that there were 6 barrels of liquid tiberium in the back of the jeep. He turned around and asked, so these things are all used by you to maintain the base? Right. Then I'll take it. After finishing speaking, Chenyuan directly meditated and collected in his mind, a blue light enveloped the entire jeep, and saw the jeep gradually melt into it. And the stock of resources in the infinite base, especially the stock of refined tiberium mines, has increased a lot. The man was stunned for a while and didn't know what to say. After a while, he said, there is a box of cigarettes in the car that I found with great difficulty. Then how do you usually get down to the base? Chenyuan walked over and asked. There is a maintenance passage, and you can climb down the passage to enter the damaged elevator shaft inside the base. He looked at the ruins of the underground parking lot again. It's just, you seem to have collapsed there. Let's go in and chat. Chenyuan said calmly, and pointed in a direction for him to go first. Boom. Chenyuan put a glass of water heavily on the table, and said to the strange visitor, tell me about you. The man had already taken off the windproof goggles and cloak, and turned out to be an old man in his 50s with vicissitudes written all over his face. Years, wind, and sand, and perhaps countless battles have left wrinkles on his face like knives and axes, but his eyes are still extremely sharp. He took a sip of water, glanced at the girl again, and couldn't help but move his butt to the other side, obviously terrified of her. My name is Wang Jinsong, I am a staff member of this experimental base, maybe the only one alive. The old man took a sip of water and sighed softly. He glanced at Chenyuan again. I met you in the laboratory before, but you were much thinner then, so I almost didn't recognize you. What exactly is this experimental base for? What did you do to me? Chenyuan cast him a flat look. I know very little. 30 years ago, I was just a new intern here. Wang Jinsong shook his head. Then what do you study? Chenyuan asked. Alien civilization. He thought for a while and added, it should be. Chenyuan's face darkened, what should it be? You also saw the alien converter underground. He thought for a while, then changed the subject and said, then let me tell you what I know from the beginning. He touched his body. Chenyuan snorted when he saw this, took out a pack of cigarettes and threw it over. Wang Jinsong took the cigarette, lit one for himself, and shook his head contentedly. I haven't smoked such a pure cigarette for a long time. He was not polite as he said, and put the pack of cigarettes directly into his pocket. Then he continued, more than 30 years ago, I had just received 2 PhD degrees, genetic engineering and molecular biology. I also participated in several projects on tiberium with my supervisor, which were well received. So while I was getting my PhD, I was waiting for a death certificate. Chenyuan's expression changed, and he immediately thought of why. The Yan state government asked me to join a highly confidential project. Note, it is a request, not a request. I will die in a car accident, my body will be beyond recognition, and then join the project as a dead person. In exchange, my family will I get a pension of 3 million yuan and a subsidy of 500,000 yuan every year. The country will arrange all of this seamlessly for me. Wang Jinsong took a puff of smoke towards the ceiling, as if immersed in memories. Yan country, Chen Yuyan once again understood the difference in this world. Under the influence of a certain crab, this world is completely different from the earth, and has nothing to do with it. Really do not have. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Wang Jinsong continued, later, I was assigned to a secret research institute in Tiancheng City. At first, I was studying tiberium, but later, some strange things began to be handed over to us for research, some fragments, or some biological tissue or something. Then I learned from some seniors that these strange things belong to an alien who descended on this planet thousands of years ago. And the S project is to study these aliens. Wang Jinsong said somewhat with emotion, later, I was transferred to the underground secret research base in City G, yes, this is here. The direction of our research here is the reverse genetic engineering of this kind of alien. I was young at that time, and the jobs I handled were very marginal jobs, but I could also know that the research was not going well. Because this alien, the biological characteristics of human beings are too strange, neither carbon-based nor silicon-based, and there are not even cells in the body. When it comes to academic issues, Wang Jinsong suddenly became excited. Then he sighed again. Later I heard that the above experts finally concluded that this kind of alien creatures cannot survive on our planet at all, and they will die even if they take a few more breaths of air. The response was benign, so we started researching their genes to make an antidote to tiberium. However, our research didn't make any progress at all until you came. Is it the meteorite rain that destroyed the city when we just crossed over? Chen Yuyan thought that he didn't interrupt Wang Jinsong's words. Sure enough, Wang Jinsong said, a powerful meteorite just destroyed the hotel building above our underground base, which was used to hide people's eyes, and then an elevator that fell from more than 50 floors smashed a hole in the base. When people repaired this gap, they found a living person among the ruins. What happened in the middle, I don't know very well. In short, after half a month, our research direction changed. It turned into studying you. Because your body does not reject tiberium, the experts above think that there may be a special immune system that only appears occasionally among billions of people, and some experts believe that you are that kind of alien. After Wang Jinsong finished speaking, he lit another cigarette for himself, and said, but according to the genetic comparison, your genes are completely different from the aliens we discovered, and there is no similarity. The only similarity is the identification of tiberium. Mine rejection. Also, you look more like a human with special abilities than an alien. It confuses everyone. We wanted to wait for you to wake up, but you never did. So we had to continue to explore. After about a year or so, it seems that the international situation has changed, our research direction has changed again, and I have also been transferred. The core team is responsible for the maintenance of peripheral equipment. Wang Jinsong was a little emotional. Since then, the news from the superiors has become less and less. The city outside has been turned into ruins, and I have no place to go. There is no shortage of supplies here, and the army often escorts supplies. Just like this, it will be another 5 years. Wang Jinsong continued, if it weren't for GDI, if an airborne force suddenly attacked the mining area in the east of the city, I didn't even know they would come up with such a terrible thing underground. As he spoke, his eyes swept over the girl. Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thanks to Shanghai Beat 01 for the reward of 100 starting coins. This book will be on the shelves next Friday, so it should be 3 days later. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 142. 142. Stay here and help me. Wang Jinsong began to recall the terrible battle back then. The goal of that GDI troop was the mine in the east of the city, but they would definitely not turn around and leave after they achieved their goal. Because the whole city has been reduced to ruins, we are in the traces of activities here are actually very obvious, so the commander of the base sent 4 people out to prevent the base from being exposed. 4 people? Chen Yuyan asked with a frown. Wang Jinsong nodded, his expression looked a little frightened. 4 people, all of them have different looks, and they are all women. At that time, they took me with them and asked me to drive. And when we put them on the battlefield, what I saw was a massacre, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, and even superhuman ability, a whole company of GDI troops, close to 300 people. Even with light tanks, just like that 4 people, kill them all. Chen Yuyan turned his head to look at the girl who was still hanging on his body, and asked, "Is she one of them?" Wang Jinsong nodded and replied, "She is number 1. Among the 4 people, she killed the most people and used the most terrifying methods. Wherever she went, there was not even a whole body. After the battle, we used a large bucket. It took the disinfectant to clean the blood on her body." He looked at the girl again with a fearful expression, and then said, "After this battle, maybe the people above thought that I knew a lot, so they transferred me to the research department again, although I still can't get in touch with her. To the real core things, but more or less no." Hearing this, Chen Yuyan was startled and had a guess in his heart, and his face gradually darkened. Wang Jinsong looked at Chen Yuyan's expression, sighed and said, "That's right, they were made by extracting your genes. And there are not only 4, but 12. Moreover, these are not ordinary genes, they are your life genes. The essence of it can only be extracted by the alien's machine, and there are only 12 copies. In addition, I don't know why the 12 people cultivated are all women." Chen Yuyan's face became even more ugly. Although he didn't understand many of them, taking 12 life essences from him was not a good thing no matter how you heard it. He asked in a deep voice, "Then you took 12 copies of life essence from me, why did 10 of them die and 1 ran away, and there is only 1 thing left?" Without saying a word, Wang Jinsong nodded and said, "It seems that you actually thought of a way to get in. The base is buried very deep. Although I know that the interior should not have completely collapsed, there is no way to get in. 10 people died, and 1 escaped. What's the number?" "Number 2. The base was destroyed, maybe she did it?" "Number 2. I don't have much contact with her, it's possible. But I'll leave 1 at last. I don't know why number 1 became like this, she was completely different before." Wang Jinsong glanced again. The girl frowned slightly. In short, after the GDI airborne troops were wiped out, these 12 super soldiers were often sent out to carry out combat missions, and they were able to achieve their goals every time, and every time they produced terrible killings. On the GDI side, there were even 2. A golden general also died in their hands. As he spoke, he sighed, "But 12 people can't change the war, nor can they change the erosion of the planet by Tiberium. Tornadoes, meteorite rain, ion storms, these terrible natural disasters continue to erupt. And in the continuous war, everyone has completely taut the last string. After another year, our contact with our superiors was completely cut off. After another 3 months, the supplies never came again." Wang Jinsong extinguished the cigarette butt, and immediately lit another one. "Then we are going to give up here and look for our organization." And during the discussion of the retreat plan, we had an argument. Those 12 super soldiers cannot be taken away, they cannot leave the cultivation facility for too long. Some people think that we should seal them up, while some people think that we should kill them all in order to prevent them from being used by the enemy in the future. Destroy the entire base. Moreover, those who support the latter opinion also include the base's supreme commander Major General Lu Zheyu. Speaking of this, Wang Jinsong narrowed his eyes. "I don't know what happened that time. I was lucky. I was sent by them to collect supplies for our retreat. We heard a violent explosion on the way, so we hurried back to the base has been bombed and collapsed. The 5 soldiers who were with me saw this scene, and they left without nostalgia. I originally wanted to leave too, but before I left, I was really reluctant to come here. After all, I have spent 5 full years here. As a result, when I checked around, I found that there is actually a maintenance passage that has not collapsed. From there, I can climb directly to the number 4 energy core. Chunyuan asked, number 4 energy core? There are many buildings like that. There are several parts, but they are all connected together, and I can't fully know the specific functions at my level. Wang Jinsong put out the cigarette butt that he had smoked again. I saw that the energy core is still being used for the cultivation equipment of super soldiers. For energy supply, I don't know what I thought at that time. Anyway, I decided to stay. This stay will last for 30 years. Chunyuan thought for a while, then frowned and said, wait a minute, you have been fighting GDI, that is to say, you are on the side of the Brotherhood of Nod during the war? Wang Jinsong nodded and said, you can ask me this question. Because our base is completely closed and has a high level of confidentiality, we can also discuss some news that other people don't know. That's right, last time during the war, we were on the side of the Brotherhood of Nod from the very beginning, fighting alongside Kane. Why? Do you want to fight against the G7 led by the United States on your own? Wang Jinsong said, ideological issues. Since the Second World War, Chu Chi'er delivered the Shamu speech, and his theory was truly implemented, and the gap between the East and the West has become more and more serious. After the disintegration of the Soviet Union, the West, the country, believes that this is the best time for them to unify the world, so they carry out their hegemony to the end. First, the Group of Seven was established, and then it planned to establish a more powerful regime to carve up the world. As a result, the League of Nations became a monopoly under their control, and those third world countries had no right to speak at all. In fact, under such circumstances, even if Tiberium does not appear, World War III is imminent. It turns out that this different world has been completely different since World War II. Wang Jinsong continued, it's just that Yan Kingdom has never really handed over its future to Kane. They just provide support secretly. They are actually watching the outcome of the war and the purpose behind it. After seeing our strength, GDI also offered us an olive branch. At the same time, something seemed to break the alliance between Yan Kingdom and Kane. So, they made a crucial decision. Kill Kane and rebuild human society. Wang Jinsong's expression was extremely solemn. Yan Kingdom gathered the best physics team, and under the leadership of National Treasure-level physicist Wang Huchen, they developed a very terrifying weapon, space-based ion cannon. After that, Yan Kingdom will officially join GDI. But because of the terrible natural disasters, large areas of the country became unlivable areas, and the ion storm also cut off the connection between places, and the battle between GDI and Nod intensified. Then, our side and the outside world, the connection was broken. Wang Jinsong took a deep breath, lit another cigarette and said, that's how it is. Chunyuan also closed his eyes and thought about it, and now many questions in his mind have been answered. But there is one last one: why is my physique like this? But it seems that Wang Jinsong is not the person who can answer this question. He asked, what's the name of this base? What was the name of the senior management of the base at that time? The code name of this base is Nuwa. At that time, our highest commander was Major General Lu Zheyu, and the head of the research department was Dr. Wei Shiman. In addition, the team leader who was in charge of researching you was Dr. Zhang Yi. Wang Jinsong answer. Chunyuan nodded thoughtfully. He thought for a while, and said, stay here and help me. Wang Jinsong raised his head and looked at Chunyuan with complicated eyes, but he didn't answer. Thanks to Brother Zero for the 100 starting point coins. It will be on the shelves next Friday. If you have a monthly pass, remember to leave it to me. Thank you. It will be on the shelves for 3 days. Not going anywhere, not doing anything, writing as much as posting. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 143. 143 The Forsaken. Seeing his appearance, Chenyuyan knew that he had something to hide, but he still said, "You come once every 3 months, which means that you live not far away. And if you want to get so much refined tiberium, then it is definitely impossible. It's going to those few settlements. Judging by your appearance, it doesn't look organized. So, what are you still worried about?" Wang Jinsong sighed and said, "You are right, for the past 30 years, this small remnant of the Nuwa base is my last sustenance. Although I don't know what is going on with the base now, but seeing the 0 and 1 just standing in front of me so alive, why don't I stay behind?" "But..." Chenyuyan helped him finish the sentence. Wang Jinsong shook his head and rolled up his sleeves. "I only saw many green crystals growing from the inside out on his arm. It's just that unlike other tiberium crystals, the green crystals growing on him are dark green." He sighed and said, "After being soaked in tiberium mine for a long time, my body has also mutated and become like those tiberium creatures. Survival in the district, but it also disqualified me from being a human being." "It doesn't affect your living here, does it?" Chenyuyan frowned. Wang Jinsong said, "You may not know much about how people view mutants like us. As long as we are discovered, then we are street rats, and everyone will want to get rid of us and hurry up." Chenyuyan thought for a while, and said, "Then you can just stay in this Nuwa base and avoid contact with outsiders, wouldn't it be fine? Or wrap yourself up. Do you know that I am not the only mutant, but there are many, beyond your imagination?" Wang Jinsong said, "These mutants are not accepted by humans, so they can only hide in the severely damaged red in the district, and they are full of hatred for all humans. They call themselves the Forsaken." The Forgotten. Chenyuyan's heart sank, and his intuition told him that this Forgotten was definitely not simple. The number of the Forsaken is more than people think, but they are extremely scattered. I have joined one of the Forgotten's troops in the past few years, helping them do some small research in exchange for refining tiberium. It's not far from here. Junkrat gang was sent by them to monitor Hammer Town and Torch City." Wang Jinsong said. Chenyuyan's expression changed. "Are the Junkrats the Forsaken?" "Yes, you know them." "Not only did I know, but I also fought against them. By the way, the Black Wolf tribe has been incorporated by me, and now Xingfu village, Muhi village and Beiti village are also under my protection," Chenyuyan said. Wang Jinsong looked him up and down for a while, and said, "In less than 3 months, you can do so many things. Sure enough, is it worthy of being number 0? Dr. Zhangyi always said that there is something in you. A completely unpredictable power. Is it that blue light? My strength, I will tell you gradually. But what I want to say now is that I really need a helper. Come here. I will help you cover up your identity, even if someone finds out, who dares to say anything, I who to kill. As for the group of Forsaken, I will take care of it," Chenyuyan said. Wang Jinsong looked at Chenyuyan, then at the girl, and finally made up his mind. He nodded and said, "Okay, I'll stay. But you have to be careful, the leader of the Forsaken army I was in before, it's called Iron Dragon. Although his main activity area is not here, he has nearly 10,000 people under his command. The Forsaken will take revenge, and if you and the Junkrat gang do it, they will find you sooner or later. If they dare to come, just kill them. As long as you can stay and help me, it doesn't matter." Chenyuyan waved his hand domineeringly, then looked at the girl again, and asked, "If she is the number 1 you said, So what is going on with her now? Wang Jinsong frowned and thought for a while, then said, it's possible. Is it formatted? Format? It's about erasing everything about her, all her memories, nothing left. Even her special abilities, physical enhancement, etc. All are erased, just like formatting. Wang Jinsong said. Chen Yuyan was stunned. It's understandable to clear the memory, but to clear her body enhancement and special ability? How is this possible? With human technology, it is of course impossible, but with alien technology, it can be done. Because they are all made by this alien's equipment, they can naturally be formatted. I just don't know who it is you did this. Wang Jinsong looked at the ignorant and innocent girl, and sighed, perhaps letting her forget about the terrible past is the best ending. Chen Yuyan nodded. He stood up and said to Wang Jinsong, anyway, I'm not polite anymore. If you stay and help me, I will make you busy too. But don't worry, what you want, what you lose, I will bring it back for you. Wang Jinsong was still looking at the girl, and said, before she was turned into a killing machine in our hands, but now. He sighed, maybe she can live the life she chooses now, since she has been formatted. Let me teach her to speak and read first. Okay, well, since she is number one, let's call her Yi. You and Yi are by my side during this time, and I will show you around, so you can know my strength. Chen Yuyan stood up. He took Wang Jinsong and Yi around the base here. Since this underground base is called Nuwa, then this place should also be called Nuwa Base. From the place where he woke up, and then he dug all the way to the broken elevator shaft, and then went down the elevator shaft to the alien equipment, which is the number 4 energy core that Wang Jinsong said. Then he took him to visit the worker ant drone factory, checked the working method of the worker ant drone, and also introduced him to the B.O.W of hell dogs, lickers, mutant leeches, and mutant crows. Along the way, Wang Jinsong, in addition to being constantly impressed by these buildings, also raised many questions, such as how energy is transmitted between buildings, and how resources are stored and spent instantly in different places. Even Chen Yuyan himself didn't know these questions, so he could only smile in a pretentious way, and didn't answer. Moreover, Wang Jinsong also taught Yi to speak while walking. It is true that he is a high-achieving student from a major, and he is also close to 60 years old. Wang Jinsong is not only knowledgeable but also very patient. He teaches Yi word by word. After turning around the Nuwa base, Yi can already point to everything around her that she doesn't understand and ask why. Soon after, the hunter factory was also completed. In Wang Jinsong's admiring eyes, the blue light curtain disappeared, and a biological factory of more than 300 square meters appeared. As a level 2 building in Umbrella's technology tree, the Hunter factory is far larger than the level 1 buildings of the Cerberus production line, and its products are naturally much more powerful. And unlike other production lines, the Hunter factory can produce all B.O.Ws of the Hunter series, as long as the corresponding technology is researched. So since this is the case, Chen Yuyan has all the more reasons to produce a large number of hunters. Hunter Alpha. Construction conditions, Level 2 Manufacturing Center. Construction resources, 200 kilograms of biomass, 5 kilograms of low-purity refined tiberium. Build time, 150 minutes. Function, it is mutated by injecting T-virus into lizards. The skin can withstand the bullets of most individual weapons. The sharp claws are highly poisonous. And at the same time, the reminder that Chen Yuyan had been looking forward to for a long time also came. Currently, the Infinite Base has 5 different level 2 buildings, which can be upgraded to level 3. The upgrade requires 100 tons of stone and 80 tons of metal for space expansion. The upgrade will be completed in 2 hours. Please recommend and collect. Give Xiaojing a little motivation to code words. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 144. 144 Level 3 Base. Seeing this request for resources, Chenyuyan couldn't help saying to himself that he was lucky. Fortunately, the 3 worker ant drone factories at the Helang base have been digging the stones eroded by the Tiberium mine, and they have also collected a lot of stones. Otherwise, I really don't know where to get the 100 tons of stones. Let's start upgrading, Chenyuyan said in his mind. The manufacturing center has started to upgrade and is expected to be completed in 2 hours. For upgrading to level 3, Chenyuyan doesn't have any buildings to build right now, except for U.M.F-013 Red Queen, which he is looking forward to. He also has no buildings to build. After all, he has just started researching level 2 technology now. However, after upgrading to a level 3 base, he will be able to directly build T-72 main battle tanks and Mi-24 gunships in the manufacturing center, but these more advanced equipment require drivers. The warlord he was contacted by Rupier in the world of Resident Evil could provide some drivers. He used the summoning function to directly summon them to help drive the tanks, but first, it could not last long, and second, the number was not enough. However, after upgrading to a level 3 base, you can draw a lottery and get another subsidiary manufacturing station, so there are 3 production lines. And if the affiliated manufacturing station is regarded as a manufacturing center -1 level, then they are all level 2 production lines, which can be directly expanded to build hunter-killer factories and worker ant drone factories. I took Wang Jinsong to visit the Nuwa base, and even took him to see the part that was dug up. Seeing the ruined laboratory, Wang Jinsong was naturally filled with emotion. When he came to the 12 laboratories, Wang Jinsong's expression was a bit complicated, and he didn't know what to say. Chenyuyan looked at the 2 letters SB written in red paint on the door of the number 1 laboratory, but he had a different feeling in his heart. This SB contains too many meanings. Is it a complaint? Is it scolding? Still joking? Is this what number 2 wrote here, or was it written by someone else? Walking outside the base, Wang Jinsong said he wanted to be alone, so Chenyuyan let him go. He arranged a room for him in the Nuwa base, right next to the room where the medical cabin was, where he had just woken up here. At the same time, the system prompt also arrived. The upgrade is complete, and the manufacturing center has been upgraded to level 3. Please note that during the next upgrade, the area occupied by the manufacturing center will increase significantly. Please clean up the ruins above in time. Functional expansion 1, add an additional auxiliary manufacturing station that can be built. Functional expansion 2, the production capacity of the manufacturing center has been increased, and the construction time of all products has been reduced by 10%. Function expansion 3, the infinite base system and the Laplace multidimensional universe calculation system are integrated, and the teleportation function is upgraded to hyperspace teleportation. The host can use the manufacturing center to manufacture items in other worlds, but it needs to consume points. Function expansion 4, the energy provided by the manufacturing center will increase by 10,000 kilowatt-hour. Upgrade reward, the host can randomly draw a reward, which may be an item or a technology. In theory, any item has a chance to be drawn, but the greater the difference between the level of the item and the level of the manufacturing center, the lower the chance of being drawn. Reminder, after the host has 10 different level 3 buildings, the manufacturing center can be upgraded to level 4. Currently, there are 0 level 3 buildings. Upgrading from level 3 to level 4 requires 10 different level 3 buildings. Chenyuyan found sadly that even if he had done his best, he only had a level 3 building like the Red Queen. Open the technology tree list, that is, only after researching advanced T-virus research under Umbrella's technology tree, can unlock level 3 technology and build level 3 buildings. But there is a long list of technologies that need to be studied in the middle. After sighing in his heart for a while, Chenyuyan looked at the lottery again, and said, "System, let's draw an upgrade reward." Congratulations to the host, the unit has been extracted. the crab spider engineering robot. Reminder, because the units are drawn, the crab spider type engineering robot can only be manufactured through the manufacturing center. Crab spider engineering robot. Construction conditions, Level 3, Manufacturing Center. Construction resources, 100 kilograms metal, 80 kilograms low purity refined tiberium. Build time, 120 minutes. Function, after entering the data of the corresponding building or vehicle, it can be repaired. Other engineering work can also be carried out, such as the laying of wires, pipelines, roads, etc. Tips: the wireless base is currently using wireless power transmission technology, but there is a possibility of interference when using this technology to transmit power, so it is recommended that the host complete the line laying as soon as possible. Seeing the price of this kind of robot, Chen was really surprised. It's really expensive. It actually needs 80 kilograms of low purity refined tiberium, and it needs to occupy a level 3 production line, and the construction time will take 2 hours. However, according to the introduction, this kind of robot is really powerful. It can not only repair various construction vehicles, but also carry out basic engineering construction. Forget about paving the road, not to mention anything else. After building an engineering robot, the 3 M2F light tanks left at the gate of the Black Wolf base can be repaired, and then they can be used immediately. But, it's so expensive. Chen thought about it, but forgot it. Since he got it, let's try to build one first. Give the manufacturing center a construction order, and let the subsidiary manufacturing station, which can already build level 2 buildings, continue to build the worker ant drone factory on the Nuwa base. He hasn't forgotten the system's reminder that when the manufacturing center is upgraded to level 4, the volume will expand a lot. In fact, after 2 upgrades, the manufacturing center has expanded a lot, but it was built in camouflage mode, so Chen couldn't see what was added. But no matter what, now that he has strong strength, he doesn't need the ruins of this hotel building to cover up his base. He ordered the worker ant drones on the Nuwa base to start demolishing the ruins of the building. The next step is to go to the mining area and build a second subsidiary manufacturing station. In this way, there will be a stable income from the tiberium mine, and then the research and development of technology will be faster. He also found that the more advanced the product, the more tiberium was needed. For example, this kind of crab spider-shaped engineering robot actually needs 80 kilograms of tiberium ore, which is the refined one. Just when Chen was about to call Wang Jinsong, he came out first. Don't say much, just ask straightforwardly, are you rich? What money? Chen was stunned. Currency, GDI and NOD both have their own currencies, but now that NOD is in decline, the purchasing power of the gold notes they issue has dropped a lot. The currency of GDI is the US dollar, which is also used in many places now. Wang Jinsong said. Chen shook his head and said, this place doesn't shit, how can it be rich? I remember those soldiers told me that Chi Wei from the Black Wolf tribe also used refined tiberium to barter with them. Now in Nod's sphere of influence, that is, in the yellow zone, refined tiberium can indeed exist as a hard currency. But after all, it is inconvenient, and there are only a few who have the strength to collect refined tiberium. You can't always go out and buy vegetables. Refining tiberium? Wang Jinsong said, actually, what I want to say is that your control over these 3 villages is still too loose. How should I put it? I feel like the underworld is doing things. All Heaven's Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 145. 145 Occupy the mining area. What do you mean? Chen was startled. To put it simply, whether it is the Helang tribe or you, the relationship between the 3 villages and those 3 villages is the model of collecting protection fees. The difference is that the Helang tribe only collects protection fees, and you collect protection fees. Do something. Wang Jinsong said. Chen Yuyan thought for a while and said, when I just woke up, I was alone, and I can only use this method to quickly grasp a group of power. But to be honest, these people are too useless and useless at all. That's because in their eyes, you are still a collector of protection fees. You haven't even been to Muhi village and Beatty village. You just let someone drive a tank over there to scare them. Even if you gave them a batch of weapons, so what? They won't appreciate you. Wang Jinsong said. Chen Yuyan nodded. Then whether it's Iron Hammer Town, Junkrat Gang, or even the Forsaken Iron Dragon behind them, if they want to break the situation surrounded by them, what advice do you have? Wang Jinsong pointed to the base and said, although I don't know how you have these things, but now you can produce tanks, various firearms, and biological weapons. Regardless of the fact that those biological weapons have not yet formed, even if tanks and machine guns are produced, there are no qualified soldiers to use them. Even if you recruit those from the Black Wolf tribe, their combat effectiveness is actually just as different from that of the regular army. And if you want to really use these people, you have to organize them so that they fully understand that fighting for you is fighting for themselves. Chen Yuyan asked, then what should I do? So I asked you if you have money? Wang Jinsong asked again. Is there a relationship between the two? It does matter, you can let them work for you, earn your money, and then use the money you earn to buy your things. In this way, a basic social ecology can be established, and when this society after the ecology is formed, you can use your money to make them do more things. Wang Jinsong said. But the problem is I don't have any money. But you have all kinds of weapons and ammunition, and you can provide them with physical protection. Chen Yuyan thought for a while, I can also help them build infrastructure such as clinics and apartments. Well, I can also provide them with a lot of scarce living resources such as meat and medicine. That's even better. Wang Jinsong laughed. As far as I know, the 3 villages here are still in a primitive state of self-sufficiency and bartering. We need to break this and build our own system. I will draw up a plan for you, and then you will go to the 3 villages for a tour, let you, the boss, show off, and then promulgate the system. Chen Yuyan also nodded generously and said, okay, then I need to go to the Black Wolf base first, bring the mining area under control, and then discuss this matter with you. Then he grabbed Yi who was hiding behind him, and found that she was still holding a tiberium crystal in her hand. Seeing Chen Yuyan staring at her, she quickly hid the crystal behind her and looked at him with innocent eyes. Chen Yuyan couldn't laugh or cry. Yi, from now on, this food can only be eaten at home. Home? Yi asked with her head tilted. Home is where we live, it's a big house. Chen Yuyan couldn't handle this, so he had to gesture to her. Live. Stay, just sleep. Sleep. Chen Yuyan was speechless for a while. He had no choice but to get on the road amidst countless questions. Back at the Black Wolf base, Ho Xiangyang was already waiting there. This veteran was considered a relatively reliable person, so Chen Yuyan took him with him and drove directly to the mining area. There is nothing to say in the mining area, and the construction of the second subsidiary manufacturing station was started directly, and more than 20 hellhounds were deployed to defend. But here, because it is basically on the edge of the red zone, the erosion of tiberium is very serious, and the few flowering trees in the middle of the mining area are constantly releasing tiberium spores into the air, and people cannot stay here for too long. Old. When Chi Wei was still there, because he didn't have the equipment to mine tiberium or professionally, there was only one refinery here, so he often forced those villagers to mine manually, but the output of tiberium mine was very low in this way. Now Chen Yuyan is going to build a worker ant drone factory here to mine the Tai mine. The problem of mining has been solved, but the guards here are very problematic. Because one of his potential enemies includes the Forsaken, who can move freely in the red zone. Do you know the Forsaken? Chen Yuyan asked Ho Xiangyang. Ho Xiangyang was a little puzzled. Forgotten. What? The main city is in the undercity, and there is a beautiful queen. Chen Yuyan joked casually. What? Hee hee, it's okay. Have you encountered any danger in the mining area? Chen Yuyan changed the subject. Apparently, not everyone knows the name Forsaken. Yes. Tiberium demon. Ho Xiangyang said seriously. What is that? Chen Yuyan asked. It should be monsters mutated from those animals. They are extremely lethal. It is said that some big ones can even destroy armored vehicles. However, Tiberium demons are also divided into big and small. We have appeared a few times before here. About 1 meter, about the size of a dog. Ho Xiangyang replied. After finishing speaking, he looked at Chen Yuyan's expression, and continued to explain, every time we arrange villagers to mine, it lasts about half a day. There is not much noise, and there are guards, so it is not a problem. However, Boss Yan, you seem to want to stay here for a long time and let those robot ants mine these Tiberium crystals? He originally wanted to call him Brother Yan, but when he thought that he was only in his 20s, and he was in his 40s, it was not appropriate to call him Brother Yan, so he changed his name to Boss Yan. That's right. Chen Yuyan nodded. Ho Xiangyang pondered for a while and said, to be honest, it's a bit difficult. People can't stay in such an environment for too long, and generally those larger forces mine Tiberium crystals with professional sealed semi-automatic mining vehicles. It will not stay in the mining area for too long, and it is not realistic to stay there for a long time. Where can I get this kind of mining truck? Chen Yuyan asked. It's very difficult. Even Iron Hammer Town only has 2 or 3 cars. If it can be produced, I'm afraid I have to go to Torch City to find it. Ho Xiangyang thought for a while and said, Chi Wei used to have a mining car. The car, but it broke down and there was no place to repair it, so it was abandoned. Chen Yuyan's eyes lit up and he asked, then where is this mining truck? I remember throwing it behind the loading and unloading platform here. Ho Xiangyang said, and he walked towards the very crude loading and unloading platform in front. There is actually a concrete platform over there, with 2 artificial booms installed on it, and there is a shed next to it, which is full of various sundries, empty iron buckets, worn-out tools, and the like. Ho Xiangyang struggled to move a large iron bucket away, and then only heard a crash, and the garbage inside collapsed. Chen Yuyan looked through the gaps in the garbage, and he saw a very sharp and hideous mechanical pliers. That's it? The collection device of the mining vehicle can directly scoop up Tiberium crystals. Ho Xiangyang pointed to the pliers and said. Thank you for the 500 starting coins rewarded by the old man Penkai. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 146. 146 The mine started. Chen Yuyan stepped forward, and threw the rubbish aside. Even if it was an engine that was unloaded from an unknown car, he picked it up with one hand and threw it aside. Soon, a beetle-like truck appeared in front of him. This truck is like a flat stag beetle. It is at least about 10 meters long and more than 3 meters high. It is covered with hard armor from top to bottom. At the front of the truck is a very large pliers used to collect Tiberium crystals, while the 4 wheels on both sides are made of pure metal, painted black, with sharp sawtooth engraved on them to improve grip. But now 3 of the 4 wheels have been removed, and the 2 jacks supporting the truck's huge body have long since been damaged and thrown aside in a crooked manner. This car broke down 10 years ago. There should be something wrong with the suspension system, and the engine can't start. Hammer Town is not capable of repairing such a big guy, let alone whether Chi Wei has the ability to drag it there. Even if it can be pulled to Iron Hammer Town, it will most likely be detained by the forest fire. This thing is precious. Ho Xiangyang said. Chen Yuyan was thinking about other things, If this mining vehicle could be repaired with a crab spider-shaped engineering robot, wouldn't it be possible to scan it directly? Then it can be included in the database of the infinite base. In this way, can't all the damaged equipment be repaired and scanned? Thinking of this, he looked at the Level 3 manufacturing center at the Nuwa base. The crab spider-shaped engineering robot he built when he set off was almost finished. So he gave an order to let the engineering robot teleport to him after it was completed. There is also a production line attached to the manufacturing station, and Chen Yuyan put down a protector robot factory on the mine side. Since Ho Xiangyang also said that this place is not peaceful, it is necessary to increase some protection forces. The reason why he chose the protector-type robot factory instead of the hunter factory is because Chen Yuyan still has doubts about B.O.W's reaction under the erosion of tiberium. Because tiberium's erosion of organic life forms is extremely fast, but its erosion of machinery is so slow that it can almost be ignored. Ever since he knew that the members of the Junkrat gang were forsaken, Chen Yuyan had always suspected that the tracker's current state was probably caused by eating a few weirdos from the Junkrat gang during the battle. If they are forsaken, then there must be a lot of tiberium content in their bodies, which is equivalent to eating a lot of tiberium directly by the trackers. He sent here just now, and the 20 hellhounds who should be still on the road are also a last resort, because a defense force must be established here in the mining area. Those hell dogs are ordinary hell dogs, even if they mutate or die due to the erosion of tiberium, the impact will not be great. While Ho Xiangyang was still amazed that Chen Yuyan created a large blue light curtain as soon as he raised his hand, Chen Yuyan also received a system notification that the crab spider-shaped engineering robot was completed. He only saw a blue light curtain appearing beside him, and a moment later, a robot appeared in front of him. This robot has a large diamond-shaped stomach, and 4 mechanical claws firmly support the body. The upper body is barely human-shaped, with a large oblate head, with 7 electronic eyes arranged in a row, 1 big in the middle, and 3 small electronic eyes on the left and right sides. And there are 4 robotic arms, 2 thick and 2 slender, each with 4 joints, which can flexibly carry out construction operations on the target from all angles. When Ho Xiangyang saw such a thing appear out of nowhere in front of him, his entire face turned pale. This unheard-of scene overturned all his worldviews. He was dumbfounded, and looked at Chen Yuyan with awe. "Yan, boss Yan. This is my power," Chen Yuyan said flatly, and at the same time he gave an order to let the crab spider-shaped engineering robot repair the mining vehicle. The crab spider robot crawled to the side of the mining cart, shot a ray from the largest electronic eye in the middle, scanned the mining cart from top to bottom for a while, and then issued a dull electronic sound from its mouth. "The inspection is complete. The data of the damaged parts of this machine it exists in the database. It is 90% similar to the engine of the M2F light tank and can be repaired." Then I saw its 2 thick mechanical arms grabbing the shell of the mining vehicle, and the 2 slender mechanical arms stretched out to the diamond-shaped belly behind it. But welding gun. Then, the robot began to cut the shell of the mining vehicle for repairs. Chen Yuyan didn't wait here, he just continued to walk around the mining area to check the terrain and plan the future construction. There are 3 flowering trees in the middle of this mining area, constantly emitting green smoke, most of which falls on the ground, forming new tiberium crystals. The tiberium crystals in the mining area are at least half a meter high, much larger than the scattered crystal clusters he saw outside. You must know that the scattered crystals outside are at most 2 to 30 centimeters high. There is a barbed wire fence around the mining area, but many parts of the barbed wire fence have been covered with tiberium, and it looks disgusting as if covered with a layer of moss. Moreover, the barbed wire was damaged in several places, and it was basically useless for defense. When Chen Yuyan was walking around, he actually found several tombstones that had been eroded by tiberium. It turned out that this mining area was a cemetery. The things on the loading platform are also very messy. It seems that when Chi Wei occupied this place before, because he couldn't stay here for too long. Everything was thrown everywhere, and they were piled up in the shed next to the loading platform. It was a mess. It seems that if you want to build a tiberium refinery near here, you need to clean it up with worker ant drones. And if you want to control this mining area, you must have a fulcrum. Chen Yuyan checked among the civil buildings scanned in the world of Resident Evil before, and then chose apartment buildings and warehouses. He plans to build a 3 or 4-story apartment building and a warehouse here. The apartment building can be remodeled. After adding iron plates and sandbags, it can also have good defense capabilities. It can be used as a bunker or has a living area. Kind of. The warehouse can be transformed to store guns and ammunition and park armored vehicles, as well as to store processed and refined tiberium mines. But this kind of civil building has the biggest disadvantage, that is, it takes a long time to build and consumes a lot of resources. There are tens of thousands of tons of stone and metal at every turn, and the construction time is at least 7 or 8 hours. In other words, the infinite base can quickly build buildings, and can use the transmission method to quickly transfer resources, but the materials needed to build products are counted as much, and there is absolutely no discount. Therefore, using an infinite base to build civil buildings is actually particularly disadvantageous, not to mention requiring a lot of resources, and occupying a production line for a long time. Therefore, in the future, it is better to organize labor to build this kind of building as much as possible. In the future, this mining area may occupy a large area, because Chen Yuyan plans to build a tiberium refinery here, plus the power station. It will be a large building complex. After making preliminary planning and simply drawing a schematic diagram, Chen Yuyan sent Ho Xiangyang and others away. He stayed in this mining area with Yi. As before, the construction of the auxiliary manufacturing station will take 8 hours. He is going to spend the night here, waiting for the manufacturing station to be completed, and at the same time use the other 2 production lines to build enough buildings here. Thank you for the reward of 1000 starting coins from Chuangshang Wang. Thank you for the reward of 100 starting coins from Hellfront Walker. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 147. 147 Manik. The industrial area on the southwest side of the ruined city, Iron Hammer Town. The situation is like this. I am the one who has disgraced Iron Hammer Town this time. I ask Major Lin to punish me. The officer who went to the Black Wolf base to show off his power was standing straight in front of Lin Huo. His stern face showed no expression at all. Although he went out with 3 M2F light tanks, only 12 people crowded side by side and came back in a dilapidated pickup truck. When he shook hands with Chen Yuyan, his finger bones were crushed and now they are all wrapped in bandages. But there was still no fluctuation on his face. As if these shames did not exist at all. What is it that dismantled your tank? Lin Huo frowned and asked. It's a spider-shaped robot. It's not big, with a diameter of less than 1 meter. They directly cut through the chassis of our tank and got into the cab, but they didn't attack the crew members, they just let them escape. Said the officer. Lin Huo took off his glasses and wiped them with a silk scarf, but his expression was a bit serious, because only he knew what the information meant. He thought for a while and said, that person, is called Chen Yuyan, isn't he? He had the opportunity to kill all of you, but he didn't do it. He left such a way, it seems that he wants to talk. Talk. The officer frowned. With all due respect, according to my observations, this Chen Yuyan is arrogant and high profile, and he is ambitious, and his hidden strength should not be underestimated. It is a little bit difficult for such a person to be our neighbor. It's not good either. If we don't solve the problem now, it may become a serious problem in the future. Lin Huo smiled and said, as far as common sense is concerned, your judgment is correct, Jin Shan. What I admire most about you is that no matter what happens to you, you will never be swayed by your emotions, and you will always remain calm. But this time, for this Chunyuan, our first choice is to talk. Now to talk, I'm afraid. You're right. Chunyuan puts his attitude very high. If we talk to him now, we won't get any advantage. So, it definitely won't be now. Lin Huo said. Then do I need to bring a company of troops to teach this Chunyuan how to behave? Jin Shan said coldly, after that, we should be able to have a good talk. Lin Huo shook his head, if we do some things by ourselves, it would be too deliberate. Well, what's going on with the Junkrat gang? The last time the Junkrat gang attacked the refinery, they killed 7 or 8 of Chunyuan's subordinates, and about 10 of them themselves died. However, their reaction was a bit dull. It was difficult to scout the Junkrat gang's territory, but it can only be confirmed that they have not made any movement in the past 2 days. Jin Shan said. Junkrat gang is the Forsaken. Not many people know this information, and standing behind them is Iron Dragon. However, although the army under Iron Dragon is enough to plow the entire surrounding area, there is no him here. Interesting things. Tai Long shouldn't pay attention to the dozen or so Junkrat gang members who died, so just let them make trouble. Lin Huo smiled. You mean, stimulate the Junkrat gang again? Jin Shan immediately understood. Let's find a mercenary to do this. Lin Huo said lightly. Jin Shan nodded, I know that a strong mercenary came to Iron Hammer Town recently, and he wanted to get some supplies. I can go find him. Lin Huo nodded, and waved his hand to signal that it was over. Jin Shan immediately stood at attention and saluted, then turned and left the office. Terrorist robot. That is to say, this Chunyuan has been to the world of Red Alert. Lin Huo's eyes narrowed, and he said to himself, the tracker's words mean that he has been to the world of Resident Evil. Only when personal strength or power develops to a certain extent, the Laplace system will give the next opportunity to enter the new world. He has been to 2 worlds, does it mean that his strength development has reached the silver group? As he spoke, he shook his head again, denying his own judgment, no, that's not right. If it is an experimenter who can go to 2 new worlds, he already has a certain sphere of influence. It is impossible to still be interested. Those things in Chi Wei's hands, then, did the horror robot buy it from other experimenters? He closed his eyes, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth, the Forsaken is not so easy to mess with. The Junkrat gang has a wide range of activities, and the ruined city is only a part of it. When they get serious, you will find that this thing in your hand is completely not enough. This is the world of command and conquer. This world is about war. It's not that you can get around just by pulling a big banner and attracting dozens of people. Just let me teach you a lesson. Chunyuan. You will come and beg me. That night, at the battlefield ruins on the south side of the ruined city, Junkrat gang was active. A figure was walking among the ruins. This man was tall, wearing a black combat uniform under a weather-beaten and tattered cloak. The shadow of the cloak covered most of his face, making it difficult to see his appearance, but behind him, he carried a very old sniper rifle. Although it has been modified, it can also be seen that it is an SVD sniper rifle. He walked very smoothly, and almost every step he took was as if the distance was measured. You must know that this is a rugged and undulating ruined area. To be able to do this, his movements are precise and stable. Following his movements, a slight motor sound came from his body. The man looked around and took out a metal tactical eyepiece the size of a swimming goggle and put it on for himself. Only a line in the middle of the tactical eyepiece glowed green. Under the scanning of the tactical eyepiece, he saw a ray of light ahead. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he walked towards a half-collapsed building next to him. The rubble and garbage-strewn stairs lead to the 5th floor, which was supposed to be an office building filled with rotting desks and computers that were nothing but shells. Charred bodies were everywhere, especially near the door. When a disaster strikes, they have only a few minutes to escape. In the sea of people, many people can't even get out of the office door. The man selected a spot with a good range of shots and unfastened the SVD sniper rifle from behind. I only saw that the sniper rifle has undergone many modifications. The bolt part is obviously larger, and the scope installed is much larger than ordinary. He took out a longer barrel and installed it, put on the tactical eyepiece again and scanned for a while, calculating in words. Then he took off the tactical eyepiece and aimed the huge scope at the target. It was a shack cobbled together from rubbish among the ruins, and it was also the stronghold of the Junkrat gang. But now there are hundreds of people gathered in the stronghold. They didn't light too many lights, they just gathered there extremely violent and restless. What's strange is that among this group of people, there are more than a dozen people who are obviously bigger than the people around them, but they are chained up. All I saw was the big man in heavy armor at the head of the crowd shouting wildly, and the people below also roared loudly in response. Then they drove out several modified jeeps, as well as 30 to 40 motorcycles with huge wheels, and others walked, dragging those chained men towards the north. Because the distance is too far, I don't know what they are shouting, but it is obviously a military operation. The man frowned, gave up the plan of sniping, and followed the Junkrat gang from a distance. He wants to see, what are these people trying to do? Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thank you for the 500 starting point coins rewarded by Renchu. Thank you for the 588 book coins rewarded by Rualai. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingda Ren. Chapter 148. 148 Fire Dragon Attack. Hum. Hum. A jeep with a lot of extra armor welded on its body and various sharp barbs stopped on the road. Immediately after was the second one, and the third one. 10 jeeps were parked in a row. There was another noisy sound of motors around, and 30 to 40 specially made giant wheel motorcycles also emerged from the ruins. The car was full of Junkrat geeks, slamming the gas pedal and roaring loudly. Those faces full of scars and strange oil paints seemed to be dancing with demons. The big man in iron armor stood up from his exclusive jeep, which was specially modified and was a full lap larger than other jeeps. He looked at the Black Wolf base in front of him from a distance in the car, a trace of ferocity flashed in his eyes, and he shouted loudly, "No one dares to kill our people." Roar. The people around shouted in unison. "When I kill them, they can only kneel down." Roar. The refinery now only has 40 sheep. Roar. Kill them. Tai Long will send more people over. Roar. Kill them. The armored man roared loudly, and then waved his hand violently. "They have tanks. Fire dragons. Fire dragon. Fire dragon. Fire dragon." Amid the yelling of those weirdos, a pickup truck loaded with bombs drove out from behind. The weird people around took out pieces of tiberium crystals and threw them on the pickup truck, and kept shouting, "Fire dragon! Fire dragon! Fire dragon!" All I saw was the weird guy who was driving jumped out of the car and ripped off his shirt. Dark green crystals had already grown on his left arm, and they had begun to spread towards his neck and heart. He raised his hands high. His left arm was a little awkward, so he could only raise it slightly, but his face was full of madness now. "I'm a fire dragon. I'm going to kill them." The man yelled loudly. "Fire dragon! Fire dragon! Fire dragon!" The people around cheered even louder. They twisted the accelerator of the motorcycle hard, and the sound of the engine was louder and louder. Amidst the cheers, the driver jumped onto the pickup truck, stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom. The engine suddenly let out a strange sound, and rushed forward with a hum. The distance of a few hundred meters is short, and the current Helang base has been greatly changed, with many more buildings. But the driver doesn't care about this at all. The tiberium on his body has spread, and his life has come to an end. Now, he wants to let his life bloom with the most brilliant fireworks. Several tanks were driven out from the base. They were M2F light tanks, which was different from what the prisoners said. But the driver didn't want to care about it either. If one tank was bombed, so would the two tanks. Boom! A long tongue of flame sprayed out from the 75mm gun barrel of the front tank, and the shell flew past the pickup truck, and exploded behind it. At the same time, the soldiers stationed in the base also opened fire. Da-da-da-da-da. Countless bullets were fired, hitting the ground, hitting the car, and some even hit the tank crookedly. Da-da-da-da-da. Dense bullets rained down. Puff puff. Several bullets pierced the windshield and hit the driver. One of the bullets hit his crystal-covered left arm, but there was no bloodshed, and then countless crystallized fragments burst out. Consciousness has been blurred, the driver smirked and turned the steering wheel violently. The pickup truck full of bombs swayed suddenly, and slammed into an M2F tank hard. Boom! An extremely huge explosion was set off immediately. The ground trembled, countless tiberium crystals flew around like bullets, and the flames of the explosion rose more than 10 meters high. The M2F light tank that was hit was directly destroyed by the violent explosion, and the thickened armor could not stop the powerful explosion. At this time, the armored man shouted loudly again, "Bring those patients up!" The eccentrics of the Junkrat gang screamed again, and the dozen or so people who were chained up and apparently much larger than normal people were dragged over. The people around immediately smashed it down with a hammer, breaking the iron chain. These people got rid of the shackles and roared loudly. Their red eyes looked at the people around, as if they were going to eat them. The armored man pointed at the base and yelled, "They let the dogs out to make you sick. Go over and kill them. Kill." These abnormally strong people roared one after another, and they ran towards the Black Wolf base as fast as they could. They are extremely fast, even much faster than ordinary people. Follow. Kill them. The armored man returned to his jeep, and with a single command, the surrounding monsters rushed up in jeeps and motorcycles. At the same time, over there at the Black Wolf base, Chen put down the binoculars in his hand, and cursed, "My time." Just as he was about to export the 3-character classic, he suddenly turned around and saw Yi who was looking at him innocently, and quickly swallowed the second half. He looked at Wang Ji and Ho Xiangyang next to him, and said in a deep voice, "Junkrat gang is simply crazy. Be a neighbor to them, and you will be eaten at some point." Ho Xiangyang said, "When Chi Wei was here before, the Junkrat gang usually didn't take the initiative to touch our base, because Chi Wei would send them a batch of supplies to them on a regular basis. But even so, the Junkrat gang would sometimes do some highway robbery. Because the terrain in the south of the city where they are active is very complicated, and there are no roads at all, and tanks and armored vehicles cannot pass. It is almost impossible to encircle and suppress them, that's the only way. But now we seem to have pissed off the Junkrat gang." Wang Ji was terrified by the explosion just now, and said tremblingly, "No, you're wrong." Chen Yuyan looked at Wang Ji, and said flatly, "They pissed me off. When my tank comes out, immediately organize a counterattack." Tanks. Do we still have tanks? Wang Ji looked out the window. The AMX-10P infantry fighting vehicle is now in the direction of Xingfu village. As for the 3 M2F light tanks that were repaired by that spider-like robot before, one was directly blown up, and the track of the other was blown off. Thick smoke billowed from the engine, apparently temporarily paralyzed. Only the last tank remained a little far away from being blown up, but with this tank alone, it is difficult to protect itself. How can we fight back against the menacing Junkrat gang? Chen Yuyan just smiled, left them behind and turned to leave. He went directly to the subsidiary manufacturing station on the Helang base. Although the name of this manufacturing station was called subsidiary, the scale of the building was no different from that of the manufacturing center on the Nuwa base. Come to the vast space inside the manufacturing station. There are 3 terrifying iron-armored monsters parked here. The low body, the oblate turret, the reactive armor covering the car body, and the 125mm caliber smoothbore gun that is so thick that it is out of proportion to the turret. This is impressively, the T-72 main battle tank. And behind the 3 T-72 main battle tanks, there is still a row of green monsters. Their bodies are covered with fine scales, their claws are extremely sharp, they look like upright lizards. Hunter Alpha. Chunyuan came to the side of the tank and said silently in his mind, "System. Use the summoning function. Summon the tank soldiers arranged for me by the African warlord in the world of Resident Evil. The number is 9. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. All Heavens Unlimited Base. Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 149. 149 Counterattack. Chunyuan basically completed the construction of the mining area last night, built 3 drone factories for worker ants, and 2 factories for protector robots, and then returned to the Black Wolf base. Because the Black Wolf base has been targeted by the Junkrat gang, the Xingfu village is actually quite far from here, and they have to go through the Black Wolf base. So Chunyuan's priority now is to strengthen the defense of the Black Wolf base. After returning to the Black Wolf base, he asked the Level 3 manufacturing center to continuously produce the T-72 main battle tank, and asked the other 2 Level 2 subsidiary manufacturing stations to build the Hunter factory and liquor production line here. After a day, the defense force in this base has been greatly improved. 20 Predator Alpha, 10 Lickers, and 40 Cerberus, all of which are improved models made with mutated leeches as raw materials. The body is stronger and has a higher chance of mutating after being subjected to deadly fire. If it weren't for the fact that the output of mutated leeches can't keep up, Chunyuan can make more. Chunyuan directly produced 3 T-72 tanks, but he stopped because of shortage of resources. T-72 main battle tank. Construction conditions, Level 3 Manufacturing Center. Construction resources, 45 tons of metal, 80 kilograms of low-purity refined tiberium. Build time, 240 minutes. Function, the shame of the 3rd-generation main battle tank, but it is also a classic tank, simple and reliable, cheap and plentiful. Now resources have become a major bottleneck for Chunyuan, so he builds worker ant drone factories whenever he has time. He needs to level up all the ruins of the surrounding buildings to recycle resources, and also make the field of view of the Helang base more spacious, so that he can better exert the power of the electromagnetic gun. I only saw 9 white rays of light appear in front of Chunyuan's eyes, and then 9 black soldiers appeared here with bewildered expressions. Chunyuan went up and said, "Okay, your chance has come. Now a group of vicious guys are attacking me. I have prepared your guys. Now go out and kill them all, and you will get the bonus." The 9 people looked at the 3 brand new T-72 main battle tanks in front of them, with joy in their eyes. But then they saw the extremely ferocious Hunter Alpha and Licker behind them. "What is this? A monster! A monster!" a soldier exclaimed loudly, and he took out his pistol and was about to pull the trigger. Chunyuan snatched his pistol, slapped him across the face and said sharply, "Show me clearly. These monsters are your comrades in arms." "Jean, comrades in arms." The black soldier looked at the hunters tremblingly, and then at Chunyuan. His eyes began to show fear. "Do you want these monsters to be your friends or your enemies?" Chunyuan asked coldly. "Friend. Friend." The black soldiers nodded again and again. They didn't dare to talk too much. They quickly opened the hatch of the T-72 tank and got in. They didn't dare to stay with these B.O.W for too long. At this time outside the base, the Junkrat gang had already attacked. Unlike the last time they rushed over on motorcycles and just showed off at the gate of the base, this time, their goal is to kill them all. The dozen or so patients with abnormally muscular bodies roared and rushed over. The soldiers in the Black Wolf base had recovered from the big explosion just now, and they also hid well, and immediately opened fire. The 9mm caliber bullets fired by the Scorpion I assault rifles hit them and spattered countless blood. They were immediately knocked down by the bullets, but immediately stood up again. Those people are zombies. The leader. The soldiers of the Ruins Legion had seen zombies a few times now, and this time the reaction was much better, and they continued to fire in an orderly manner. At this time, Junkrat's team also came. The modified jeeps are equipped with all kinds of powerful firearms, and there is even a car with 6 assault rifles connected in series, with extremely dense firepower. In addition, those giant-wheeled motorcycles also nimbly galloped among the surrounding ruins, and the Junkrat gang monsters on the bikes yelled and threw bombs with rubber bands. The number of people on the Black Wolf base was much worse than theirs. The 2 AMX-VSI infantry fighting vehicles kept firing with the 20mm caliber cannons on the turrets, but they did not dare to move forward. The only M2F light tank that was still able to move was also trying its best to fire and resist, but these soldiers were not proficient in driving tanks. The Rat Gang's jeep. I only saw someone from the Junkrat gang take out a rocket launcher from the jeep, and it turned out to be an RPG-7. With a bang, the rocket was fired, boom. The rocket was completely out of focus and exploded right next to the tank. There were more Junkrats helping the monsters take out the bazooka to shoot, and the motorcycle riders used rubber bands to throw bombs, and the sound of explosions was endless for a while. No way. We can't stand it if this goes on. Wang Ji was already terrified by Junkrat gang's battle. When Chi Wei was here before, the Junkrat gang didn't come to provoke us. It seems that they just don't want to have unnecessary losses. If there is a fight, even if we have 200 people, we can't stand it. Ho Xiang Yang also looked gloomy. Then what should we do? What should we do? Didn't Brother Yan say there are still tanks? Where are the tanks? If we don't come out, we're going to die. Wang Ji cried with a sad face. At this moment, the door of the building in the center of the base that Chunyuan transformed into an auxiliary manufacturing station suddenly opened, and then 3 flat-shaped T-72 main battle tanks drove out. The car in the front didn't say a word, it was a shot when it rushed out. Boom. A Junkrat gang's jeep was blown up into the sky. I have to say that the soldiers under the African warlord named General Andrew still have 2 brushes. As professional tank soldiers, the stability and flexibility of their driving tanks, and the accuracy of artillery are not comparable to those mudlick soldiers of the Ruin Legion. After rushing out, the 3 T-72 tanks lined up in an inverted triangle formation, and charged directly towards Junkrat's convoy. You know this is a main battle tank. The combat weight is close to 50 tons. Its deterrent power is not at the same level as M2F, which is less than 20 tons. The T-72 rushed forward, and the wreckage of the M2F light tank that was blown up by the fire dragon in the middle of the road was directly knocked away, and then the 125mm caliber main gun roared again. Boom. Another jeep was destroyed. The Junkrat gang also fought back. They took out their RPG-7 rocket launchers and fired several rockets at the T-72. But the moment the rocket hit the tank, the explosive reactive armor on the tank exploded at the same time, and the directional explosion created a powerful reverse shock wave, which directly offset the explosion of the rocket. The tank passed through the flames of the explosion unscathed. Go on the rampage. The armored man was quite smart, and kept his large jeep hidden behind the battle line during the battle. After seeing the 3 T-72 tanks rushing out, even if they were as ferocious as he was a little stunned. Tanks? How many tanks do they have? The armored man grabbed the subordinate next to him and roared loudly. "Boss Iron Rat! They have 6 tanks, we killed 2 of them, and there are 4 more. This subordinate is honest and straightforward to help him figure it out. Scatter everyone. Bomb their tracks!" cried the Iron Rat. However, before his order could be conveyed, he saw a group of gangsters driving over on a motorcycle and yelling loudly, "Boss Iron Rat!" A large group of walking lizards came out from the opposite side. "Thank you for the 1000 starting point coins rewarded by the Star Sea Rangers. Thank you for the 100 starting point coins rewarded by Sakura Wume. All Heavens Unlimited Base." Author, Jingde Ren. Chapter 150. 150 Advancement Mission? Lizards that can walk. Iron Mouse looked forward, and sure enough, a group of lizards rushed out from behind the 3 raging T-72 main battle tanks. This lizard is about 1.7 to 8 meters tall, with an unusually stocky body and dense scales, and its scarlet eyes and long sharp claws make people shudder. I only saw 3 T-72 main battle tanks rampaging on the battlefield after realizing that the Junkrat gang had no firepower to threaten them. And in this chaos, those lizards happened to be killing inside. Iron Rat saw with his own eyes several Junkrat gang members shooting wildly at those lizards, but the bullets were directly bounced off by the dense, smooth, and resilient scales, and before they could react, the sharp claws had already knocked them away. Split into 2. Ordinary bullets are useless to these lizards at all. If the 3 T-72 main battle tanks are the invincible armored lions on the battlefield, then these lizards are the group of terrifying hyenas. No. The dog is still behind. Dozens of terrifying hounds rushed out from the base. These dogs were so crazy that they didn't even realize they were hit by bullets. They rushed directly to every single Junkrat gang, dragging them from their cars and motorcycles down. What's even more frightening is that when some jeeps were running wildly, their wheels were suddenly crooked and paralyzed. Then they saw spider-shaped robots crawling out of the car body, waving their sharp alloy pincers, cutting the Junkrat gang on the car into pieces. Seeing such a scene, Iron Mouse roared, "Let's go! Let's retreat!" Before he could finish his sentence, there was a sudden bang, and a black shadow rushed onto the hood of their jeep. I only saw that it was a terrifying and indescribably hideous monster. It seems to be a person on all fours, but the 2 front paws are extremely huge and have half a meter long claws. The monster's entire brain was exposed, and its eyes had degenerated, but it was facing the Iron Rat as if it had sensed something. Then it opened its mouth full of sharp teeth, and a long, snake-like tongue spit out from the mouth, making a sharp roar, hiss. "Death!" Iron Mouse roared, and the homemade shotgun in his hand raised his hand and fired a shot. Boom! The liquor was immediately shot out of the car and struggled on the ground. Iron Mouse slapped the driver on the head and shouted loudly, "Go!" The driver turned around quickly, and at the same time slammed the horn, and the special whistle on the jeep made a low and loud sound. Hearing the siren, those weirdos from the Junkrat gang turned around and fled in all directions. But behind them, the B.O.W. army and the 3 T-72 tanks are chasing after them. Several black tank soldiers summoned by Chun Yuyan also got angry. They drove the tank invincible. The 125 mm caliber main gun and 7.62 mm caliber parallel machine gun fired continuously, reaping the lives of Junkrat gang monsters. After discovering that the Junkrat gang had started to flee in a panic, the tank commander simply got out of the turret, picked up the 12.7 mm anti-aircraft machine gun on the top of the turret and fired wildly. Iron Mouse's car just turned around here, only to see the licker who was knocked down by a shot just now struggled and got up again. The muscles in its limbs swelled up, and with a sudden leap, it actually soared into the air, flicked its tongue in mid-air, and just entangled the driver's neck. The driver was also a ruthless person. He grabbed his tongue, took out his pistol, turned around and fired again and again. Bang bang bang. Although the pistol bullet hit the licker's body with blood splashing everywhere, it didn't respond at all. With a puff, that mutated extremely huge and sharp claw tore the driver's head off. Blood spurted out like a fountain. The Iron Mouse roared, and he punched the licker on the head with his fist. His strength was so great that the sharp tiberium crystal inlaid on the iron armor of his fist immediately pierced its exposed brain. However, before he could catch his breath, he saw tentacles suddenly growing from the hole in the licker's brain. As soon as these tentacles grew, they grew longer and thicker at a speed visible to the naked eye, and barbed cuticles began to appear on the tips of the tentacles. A look of fear finally appeared in Iron Rat's eyes. While the licker was still mutating and unable to move, he punched down the licker one after another, making the licker's body bloody. Then he took out the shotgun again and fired several shots at the licker. Suddenly there was a bang, and the world spun, and it turned out that the unmanned jeep directly hit the stone next to it. The Iron Rat was thrown out of the car immediately. Before he could stand up, there was a thud, and the licker's battered corpse also fell on him. Roar! Iron Rat yelled loudly under extreme anger and fear. He kicked the licker's corpse away, got up, and fled in a car by himself. Chen Yuyan did not participate in the battle this time. He just watched the whole process in the command center of the subsidiary manufacturing station. However, he also noticed that Yi, who had been by his side all the time, was also staring at the battlefield with full concentration, and when she saw the back, a look of excitement appeared on her pretty face. Even if it is formatted, does the instinct deep in my heart still exist? Chen Yuyan thought in his heart. But then he felt relieved. After all, this is a world full of wars, and silly Badian can't survive. It's just that compared to the former Major General Lu Zheyu in the Nuwa base, I should give her more choices and more humanity. Want to kill? No problem, as long as it is her own will. Thinking of this mentally, a smile appeared on Chen Yuyan's face. He touched Yi's head, feeling her smooth and soft hair. Yi also narrowed his eyes, enjoying himself, leaning his head on Chen Yuyan's shoulder. This scene was also extremely warm. Looking at the soldiers rushing out from behind the bunker and cheering loudly, Chen Yuyan also enjoyed this rare peace. At this time, the system prompt came. Mission 1 released. How can you allow others to sleep soundly under the couch, and drive Junkrat Gang out of the ruined city completely? Mission reward, 1 chance to draw a reward. The reward is limited to level 3 and below. Task 2 released. Continue to develop, increase the population under your control to 5,000 people. Mission reward, an opportunity to travel through time and space to experience other worlds. Promotion mission released. You don't even have a territory. How dare you call yourself a warlord? Occupy the entire ruined city. Task reward, you will be upgraded to the silver group. This is an advancement mission. Just like last time, there are 3 consecutive missions, and these missions can be said to point out the direction for myself, and it doesn't seem to interfere with my choice too much. It's like saying that the previous mission required him to destroy the Black Wolf tribe, because he and Chi Wei were already in an endless situation at that time. But this time, he also formed a deadly feud with the Junkrat Gang, so the task is to let him drive the Junkrat Gang out of the ruined city. It's just, is it driven out, not eliminated? So, Junkrat Gang's sphere of influence is not limited to ruined city? Or, is it related to the forsaken warlord behind them, Iron Dragon? As for increasing the controlled population to 5,000 people and occupying the entire ruined city, there is no doubt that they will attack Iron Hammer Town. As for whether it is war or peace, everything is left to oneself to choose. At this time, Chen Yuyan suddenly saw a commotion at the gate of the base. A man with a sniper rifle on his back came to the door, raised his hands to indicate that he was not malicious, and was talking to Wang Ji. Then, Wang Ji pointed to the manufacturing station. The man nodded and walked towards the manufacturing station accompanied by 2 soldiers. Chen Yuyan's eyes narrowed.